Hello everyone, this is Ross from retrodreambeam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for more than 3 years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we were shipping out today on Friday. A ton of stuff, so eBay's been going pretty good since like November. Our October was pretty bad, but it's been going pretty good since November. All right, first up is going to be a lot of 110. This is going to be Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions collectible card game. I don't think it's around anymore. I don't know too much how it plays. I know there's like rarities. I also know there's a bunch of foils and stuff. So I'll get this stuff occasionally. I sold some sleeves. I think it was yesterday. And now I sold like a stack of 110. There are, like I said, a bunch of foils and stuff. I missed out on this one collection one time at an auction. There was this like, it was basically like a mega collection of this stuff in many, many binders. I bid it up to like 200, but someone got it at like 220. I like dropped out at 200. Someone got to 220 because I like fully don't know enough about the game, but I could have gotten a huge collection of this at one point. $14 plus shipping for this one. Everything's gonna be plus shipping, so I'll save us the time right now. All right, next up is going to be a D&D adventure book. Well, I guess it's not like D&D directly. Goblin Cave right here. This is just 5e, which is 5th edition compatible. That says right down over here. This is just a module book that people will use as a dungeon master to have their players go through an adventure. So yeah, it will say, I think it's levels 1 right here. And then this ended up going for $11.20. People pick up all sorts of modules. It doesn't have to be the official one. Some of the official ones can go for a ton of money. D&D stuff, like everyone knows that it's usually worth a good amount of money. So it's hard to get that stuff cheaper. All right. Next up is going to be Starfire Task Force. That's the sci-fi RPG. This is just going to be like the little hex map that you can get right here. This folds out into like 6 different parts. I just have it like folded in right now. I'll get these occasionally with, I think Starfire is going to be based off of Star Trek and stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but it's just another sci-fi RPG game. But yeah, this map ended up going for $16.79. This one's in pretty good condition. I've gotten like maps like that before and sold them for around that price. All right, next up is a vintage brochure, Ontario place right here. We used to do pretty well with brochures and ephemera. I love the category, and Netta loves the category as well. We just haven't gotten anything recently. We've gotten like the nerd, bits and pieces, modules, maps, and stuff like that, and rule books, but we haven't gotten like the brochures. We used to do really well with this in 2020, 2021, 2022. But yeah, this ended up going for $10. I had them labeled by like letters here in Sharpie, so I could easily grab them. But yeah, I have a bunch of them still left listed. All right. Next up is going to be a Lord of the Rings trading card from the Dead card game by Decipher right here. This is going to be Enraged. This is a rare card. I'll list like the rares and then the foils as well. I noticed the foils for this game go pretty well. There's a lot of sets for this Lord of the Rings card game. It doesn't even have to be for someone that plays the card game. It could just be for someone that likes like the movie shots and the art up over here. This is going to be the treants when they're attacking the tower when they're pissed off. The Saruman is like messing with the forest and chopping it down. But yeah, $1.99 for this one. So not all rares go for like a crazy amount of money. All right. Next up is going to be, this is a combo order. This was from our best buyer. They came and bought some more stuff, but they were frustrated with eBay as well as us, where they have a thing where if I send an offer on an item and someone sends a counter offer and I accept the counter offer, that item is still considered for sale. So it doesn't go into the waiting for payments section. And that's important because when you send someone an invoice, you do it from that section. So they added this feature, I consider a bug, like 3 years ago, because people were complaining in like 2020, 2021. There was a ton of people who were accepting offers and just not paying, like just straight up not paying. So I think there was so much complaints that eBay thought the solution was to have those items that were accepted as counter offers as still available for sale. And I think it's bad because it pits the buyers against each other even after a seller will accept an offer, as well as the sellers can't use them as part of an invoice. So really bad feature. I really wish eBay would get rid of it, but I think Annette actually sent a complaint to customer service. The more complaints, maybe they'll eventually switch it out. Really don't like the feature. I've never had anyone who bought an item or we accepted a counter offer and then someone else came in and swooped the item. It's just bad overall. But yeah, so we had to figure out a way to like refund excess shipping. We had that situation happen. But yeah, they got a bunch of these fantastic miniatures right here, like tons of packets of these. I still have a lot listed. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They also got some like extra stuff that they normally didn't get. Some kind of random cavalry. I couldn't even figure out like what brand this was, but I still list things like the miniatures with their output measurements, and then I do the best. These were like infantry with rifles, so that's what I put. I put their size as well, and I took good pictures. So they also picked those up. They paid at different times, like I said, because we were having issues with the invoice. So I don't know the total, but I want to say around like $65 or so. All right. Next up is Narwhal Dutch Wars. This is going to be like a little ship miniatures. I've barely gotten this stuff before. I have to find out where it is. Where is it? It's going to be somewhere around here. It's like a little packet. So yeah, these are going to be 1 out of 3,000 scale, which is pretty crazy. It's super tiny. This is one little ship right here. This is the Dutch 80 gun ship. Yeah, but yeah, I like to get the ship stuff and the tank stuff and the vehicles. Like people usually pay up more for them. They're harder to find, at least for me. $11.20 just for this one figure. All right, next up is Incomplete Shadows of Brimstone. This is going to be, which expansion was this? Frontier Town. So this is just a bunch of tokens and cards and pieces for Shadows of Brimstone, which is going to be a game similar to Gloomhaven, but it's older than Gloomhaven, where I haven't played it yet, but you kind of have like Wild Wild West with kind of like a little bit of like Cthulhu-ish kind of. And then you have characters, you go through like scenarios, it's co-op, and then there's a bunch of expansions to the game. And they also have these big boxes where you can play the base game, or you can get a big box expansion and use that as your base game. So it's not like an expansion where you have to have the base game to play it. So yeah, some of the stuff can go for a lot. But yeah, this expansion bits and pieces went for $17.14 to a repeat buyer. All right, next up is going to be a lot of Warhammer 40K and fantasy bits and pieces. This was baggie number 102 right here. I got a big box of Warhammer bits and pieces. It looked like there was like old fantasy one, new stuff. There was I think it's called not Old War. I can't think of it. Underworld stuff. Just a lot of random bits and pieces. So some of them I listed separately, and other ones I just put like 50 or so pieces together. This ended up going for $13 for this one. If I made the time to separate them by like similar pieces, I probably could have gotten more money, but it's not a big deal. All right, I like selling little lots like that. Next up is going to be Descent Journeys in the Dark 2nd edition. Really cool board game. I've played this a bunch. These are just going to be a bunch of bits and pieces. You have a lot of the tokens, character standees. You have a lot of the travel cards, monster cards, item cards, the cardboard doors that you use to show like where there's doors. You got all like the little hero tokens, the health tokens. So just a bunch of tokens from the game. This is not complete. There's supposed to be miniatures. There's supposed to be scenario books. Someone plays the Overlord, and then they get to get all these spells and abilities, and they're trying to stop the heroes, and they usually have their own victory condition, and then the heroes have their own victory condition. They get to build up their character. They get to build up their items and skills, and you play a campaign. So usually like 3 versus 1 or something, or you can do like 2 versus 1. Can you go up? No, you can even do 4 versus 1. You get 4 heroes. But yeah, really cool game. They also have the Star Wars one, which is Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is the same system. Someone plays the Empire versus the Rebels. So yeah, people like this one. I like it a lot. $12.59. Whenever I find like Descent stuff that I haven't had, I just add it to my own collection. It's not around anymore. They made like a 2nd edition, which we haven't tried it, but people didn't like it as much. It was different, and they used like a tablet for the story and stuff, so kind of like a different way to play the game. Next up is going to be Skylanders Spyro Adventure. This is going to be one of these little toys that they scan on the bottom here into the portal. I've never played the games, but I know a lot of kids like them, and a lot of people like to, also kids like the little toys that you get to collect as well. They have different rarities, and then like people will pay different prices depending on what the character is. I haven't got, like I said, I haven't played the game, so I haven't gotten too deep, but when I see the stuff, I'll pick it up, and people do also grab like the ones that they want. Sometimes I'll do lots, sometimes I'll do individuals. This sold for $8.39 for this one. All right, next up is going to be more Warhammer 40K bits and pieces. This was just baggie number 102. Like I said, I made a bunch of these baggies. This has really been adding up. I spent, I think it was like $90 for like the whole box. I think I'm way past that at this point. $15.74 for these bits and pieces. So a little bit more than the last one. I have offers on, so just as long as the offer is okay, I accept it. All right. Next up is going to be a Nexus, the Gaming Connection magazine. We got in this particular magazine a bunch way before we were even on YouTube, and this is an early listing because I even have this in a baggie in the storage unit. Most of my stuff has baggies now, but like the old stuff, just some of it just didn't have baggies. I just didn't think about it at the time. It didn't get damaged. It was in like a comic box, like a white comic box labeled. But yeah, this ended up going for $10.91. There's a bunch of sci-fi RPG stuff. There's even like I think some Starfire stuff right here, or Starfleet right here. So slightly different than the Starfire, I believe. So you have like a little adventure in here. You have like the little ship layouts here. People like the magazines, the role-playing game stuff. All right, $10.91. All right, moving along. Pokemon TCG Champions Empty Elite Trainer Box. If this thing had packs, it'd be worth a lot. This set was super crazy when it was out. A lot of people were paying a bunch. I think it was like 2021 when this came out. But yeah, it has the Mega Charizard art right here, and it has like the black and silver with all the different energy types here. Really cool storage box. People collect them. I easily kind of find these boxes. People usually like toss these out, but I know someone will eventually use this as a shelf piece. This also can house like 500 to 700 cards, sleeves, decks, tokens. $9.45 for this one. Like I said, I've had packs and cards would be worth a lot more. All right. Next up is going to be one of these hat miniatures. It was really sad because I had to cancel half of this order. Yeah, so they got the Greek mercenary hoplites, and they also got some other hats. Hats is just this company here that makes some miniatures. These were like new open box, where someone had opened the box, but it was still brand new. So I just put new open box in the title. I've had people like get upset about certain things. If I would have put just new on the listing, and then like it just didn't have the wrap on it. Sometimes people they collect things in various conditions, so you have to let them know that this is an open box. But yeah, people like these little miniatures. They don't go for like a crazy amount. They also bought a second one, and I had like misplaced it somehow. I couldn't figure it out, and then and I were trying to figure out going through the email to see what bins I listed into the day that I listed them. I emptied out all the bins multiple times, and I couldn't find the other one, so I had to cancel half of the order. So I felt really bad, but I'm still sending this one. So yeah, this one ended up going for like $14 and some change. All right, next up is going to be more of all of those purchases by the person who got the Fantastic Miniatures. Like I said, they bought at different times. All right, we have someone else completely different, got the Celtic Cavalry, also another little hat box right here, just like the other one I was just talking about. So yeah, this one's also new open box. Got a bunch of these, $13.12. That's about what they go for, like, $15. Maybe if it's like a specific type of figure, it might go for more, but that's about what I've been getting for those. And last thing for the day is this untested, I think it's like a Transformer, Bachman Hobby Transformer for like some kind of model train stuff. I remember, and then I got a couple of auction lots of a bunch of just train bits and pieces, little figures, basically anything related to train, like setups that you do at your house or in like your man cave. We've seen a bunch of them at estate sales. So yeah, untested. It looks like in really good shape, so this probably does work. We've also had feedback for the other train stuff. We'll send it out, and people will like repair the broken stuff that we have, and they'll be super excited because it'll be like a more expensive piece. If it was new or like in a really good condition, but because we sell them cheap and then they fix it up, they get really excited to get a good deal, and then they get to tinker with it. People who are usually into these train setups usually like to tinker with stuff as well. So this end I'm going for $4.89. Nothing too crazy, but this one weighs a lot, so good amount into shipping. All right, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Have a safe weekend, everyone.